Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. It is Denise. Welcome to the channel. I am logging on a little bit earlier than the intended start time for today because I thought, you know what? Let's just hop right into things and have an easy, super breezy post show today. It's going to be a chill day for the most part. We are starting 1 hour earlier than we normally do because right now I would essentially be sitting here watching Rampage, but Rampage went on hours ago. So we definitely had a shift in the schedules today, which I personally really enjoyed watching Rampage at 2:30 p.m. Literally, the kids were still in school and I was already watching Rampage. Now, from somebody that works from home, it was definitely a lot easier, but I'm assuming people that, especially in the West Coast, most people that watch in the West Coast are probably at work. But even then, I watch the East Coast feed, so I don't even know. I think that it was great for me, but I don't know how it would work out for everybody else. I know that a lot of people like from the UK and other parts of the world were like, we love this schedule. We love it. Let's, hopefully we can have more shows like this. But it was perfectly fine. It was a good time, everyone. Alrighty, before we get into things, guys, I am going to go ahead and review SmackDown first. And I'm going to tell you why before we get all the Before I do that, I'm going to review SmackDown first because I kid you not, I can review SmackDown in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to review SmackDown quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and jump into Rampage, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. We do have WrestleMania Backlash taking place on Sunday. I will be doing a WrestleMania Backlash watch-along, bless me, on Sunday. I've never done a watch-along on my channel, but I figured I don't always get these opportunities to do this, so I might as well take the opportunity while I can. Now, before we get started, as always, this is a very interactive stream. So at any point today, feel free to send in your thoughts. Feel free to send in any super chats if you guys want, etc. And let's go ahead and jump right into the show, everybody. We're kicking things off with Friday Night SmackDown. And yes, this is going to be a fast review. So we started off with what was supposed to be a rematch between Charlotte and Aaliyah. And if you guys all recall, we saw the Beat the Clock last week in which Charlotte ended up losing to Ronda Rousey because she was not able to beat Aaliyah in the time frame that Ronda beat Shotzi. So I thought for a second, oh man, are we really going to be getting a rematch between Charlotte and Aaliyah? Well, we didn't. This ended up being Charlotte Flair attacking Aaliyah, Ronda Rousey coming in for the save, and Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair essentially going at it back and forth and having themselves a brawl. And honestly, this was not bad at all. This was a pretty okay opening to SmackDown, I think, because, again, we have this big match ahead of WrestleMania Backlash with Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey in an I Quit match. And I feel like the best thing that they can do to gain interest for Flair and Rousey is honestly just to keep things moving along and to keep things like feeling as hot as they possibly can. And so I do think that this feud has needed a lot of help. And today, just having them brawl, that's going to get people at least a little bit more interested versus de-interested. So I thought that the opening for SmackDown was pretty okay. So it wasn't bad at all. After this, we had a match between Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler. Not a bad match either. We saw Shayna dominate the first portion of the match, and then Sasha Banks essentially had some good moments in here where she hit a Meteora, she hit a Bulldog on Shayna Baszler. She then took out Natty on the outside, so she was out there, pretty much bouncing back and forth. She looked great. Naomi looked great. And then afterwards, for the win. We ended up seeing Shayna Baszler get the win. She ends up doing a cradle onto Sasha Banks, and during this, we see Natalya essentially hold down the legs of Sasha Banks, and so she's holding them down. The referee doesn't see it. Referee counts the 3 count, and so Sasha Banks is essentially screwed out of this match and out of the win. So Shayna Baszler ends up getting the victory here. I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. I really do think that they need to book they need to book Sasha Banks and Naomi a lot better, because these are 2 girls that are fan favorites, and so far right now, they're not giving us any reason to get behind them. Afterwards, they kind of got their heat back by attacking Natalya, and people are still going to cheer because obviously, like I said, they're 2 fan favorites, but for the most part, there really hasn't been anything there for you to say like, damn, this is a kick-ass team and I'm going to root for them. So on top of like just liking them, there hasn't been anything else. So Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler was pretty all right as well. Now, let's get into, I'm going to keep running down SmackDown, guys. After this, we got Gunther essentially killing Drew Gulak. Gunther killing Drew Gulak is always, Gunther killing anybody in the ring is always going to be good. So that was perfectly fine. Drew Gulak has essentially been going through hell and back on SmackDown, whether it be at the hands of Charlotte Flair or at the hands of Gunther as of this week. So bless Drew Gulak, bless his heart. Things are not looking so great for him on SmackDown right now. But you know what, though? It's kind of funny, though. I'm not going to lie. It is kind of funny, though. And like the Kaya Put says, I always like seeing Walter. And he also adds that this was an underwhelming SmackDown overall. The matches were good, but it was a pretty mediocre way to lead into the pay-per-view. And I'm not even going to lie, guys. This was legitimately probably one of the best SmackDowns like in the last like 2-3 weeks or so. So like it wasn't even like too bad, but it was just there. It was just there. Alrighty, after this, we had a happy talk segment. Essentially, they go out there and they do the exact same thing. They crack their jokes. Madcap Moss tries to get over the chant, big bald woof over, and the crowd does chant it for a while, but you know how it is, guys. It's those chants that it's a little non-organic, but whatever. The big bald wolf was going at it for a bit. Corbin was super pissed about this, so he ends up walking off, and that's about it. I do think, like, I like Madcap Moss. I think that there's a good opportunity there with him. He has a great look. He does have some personality. I do think that they should just let him be a little bit I do think that there's a good potential there with Madcap Moss. So I am kind of rooting for Madcap Moss in this situation, and I hope that he gets over. So hopefully he does. And let's go ahead and move on from here. After this, we got a tables match, and this was legitimately the best part of Friday Night SmackDown. This was the best match of the entire night for SmackDown. They went out there, the New Day versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland, and they had a bunch of really fun spots. It was a fast-paced match. It was active. It felt like it engaged you. This was good. They're basically, Butch is still missing, by the way, because he was missing for a couple of weeks, and this ends up playing into the match. So they're out there kicking each other's butt. There's a really great spot in which right before the commercial break. So they got this really cool camera angle. Xavier Woods goes to the top rope, and he ends up doing a splash on Sheamus, who's on the outside by the barricade. So when he does the splash, he lands on Sheamus, goes right through the barricade, and it makes for a really, really good spot. That was definitely one of the highlights from this match for sure. And especially the camera angle and the way that it looked, it was presented very, very well. There was also a spot that I also liked, a moment that I liked, where we saw Sheamus and Ridge Holland doing the elbows to each of the guys that they were with, elbowing them. That was pretty cool too. I like stuff like that, especially when it's like synchronized as a team. We see it a lot with the Blackpool Combat Club, but we saw it today with Sheamus and Ridge. So I like it. It never fails to somewhat entertain me. We see Kingston do a trust fall on Sheamus. Looks pretty cool. And at this point, we find out that Butch, this whole time, he wasn't in London. He wasn't in India. He wasn't in Paris. He was under the ring on SmackDown, apparently. That's the story that they're telling, that this whole entire time, Butch was under the ring. Okay. So Butch comes out and he ends up obviously helping out his guys. And so that is how Ridge Holland and Sheamus are able to get the win with the help of Butch. Butch, after they win, starts going freaking crazy and still continues to kick further butt, and his teammates are like trying to calm him down. So the story here is Butch is legitimately a lunatic. He was hiding under the ring. You could never predict what Butch is going to do because he is a mad man. There's certain weeks where I kind of am into it, and there's certain weeks where I'm like, oh man, this is weird. But I think today I kind of liked him coming out of the ring. It was super random. I did like the beatdown. I did like where he was kind of like, he looks like he's on a wavelength. He's on his own page. Like, he's in his own world. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, he's in his own world. He's just going to go out there and get all crazy. And I do like that aspect of Butch. I just wish it didn't come across as so cartoonish. I wish it came across as like more serious, where like you're legitimately terrified of Butch versus like, oh, he's just this hokey guy who can't control himself. You know, that sort of thing. So he's a crazy bastard. We got a super chat from Kevin Bailey. Thank you so much to Kevin Bailey, a good friend here of the show, sends in a super chat saying, keep up the great work. And I just wanted to get my comment read and acknowledged. Okay, no lie. This is the perfect way to word this. Get acknowledged. You want to know why? Because we had an entire segment on SmackDown at the closing of the show where all it was Matt Riddle, Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre telling each other that they wanted to be acknowledged for this and acknowledged for that. Congratulations, Kevin Bailey. You were acknowledged. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. I love it. Mike New York says Denise Tribal Chief. And you know what? I'm going to start because here's the thing. Like, you know, I've been doing the shows now on Speak Now Pro Wrestling on F4W Online for like over a year now, right? I'm going into my second year, and I've kind of gotten into a routine, I think, of promoting the super chats where I kind of like promote it the exact same way. I'm going to change it up now. And I'm going to start saying, if you want to be acknowledged on these podcasts and get your comments read on here and be acknowledged, you can send in a super chat. There you go. Get acknowledged. Send in a super chat. That's going to be my new saying now. Thanks to Kevin Bailey and, of course, our tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. I'm going to steal his gimmick. Twitch Face 4 says, acknowledge me. Now you got to send in a super chat to be acknowledged. Just kidding. I don't want people yelling at me. I read non-super chats, as you guys know, sometimes. But if you want to for sure get your comment read, it's the super chats all the way. But I do read non-super chats as well. For those of you who've been on the show, you guys know that. Thank you so much. I'm being acknowledged now on this show. I appreciate it. Alrighty, moving on. So that was the table match stuff. After this is the one where I do kind of want to spend a little bit of time talking about. And this is Lacey Evans. So I told you guys last week that I was going to give it one more week of these stories, and that's it. They listened to me, everybody. I don't know. Maybe somebody on the creative team watched this podcast and they were like, you know what? Denise said one more week, so we're going to do one more week, and that's it. Because they ended up doing it one more time today, where Lacey Evans goes and, you know, she does her chapter 5, and she's talking about, very, very serious matters, like she has been the past couple of weeks. She's talked about just about everything that you can think of, like everything, right? Like growing up in a broken home. I mean, she's touched on everything. Today, she was talking about how, she found a family member that was going to commit suicide. She said that she was the person that stopped the bleeding. So this is very serious stuff, guys. And so, she's getting emotional like she has been the last couple of weeks. And then she ends it with, a very powerful statement saying that she's going to be SmackDown Women's Champion. And up until this point, I'm thinking, okay, they're still doing the same thing for Lacey Evans. They've been building her up as a baby face. Keyword, baby face. They've been building her up as a baby face with all of these stories, because ain't nobody in their right mind would boo Lacey Evans after all of those stories. I'm sorry. Like, if you like boo, if you see Lacey Evans as a heel, you're just like, you can't, right? You can't. Like, the girl's been through, hell and back. You're going to support her, right? So that's what I was thinking up until that point. And then one line completely changed things. And it wasn't even from Lacey Evans, but it was definitely intended to get everybody's wheels here spinning. So after Lacey Evans closes out her chapter 5, we got the very lovely Samantha Irvin, who, by the way, I just freaking love that girl. She is so talented, great voice. Seriously, I think like her and Melissa Santos are legitimately my favorite ring announcers, like ever. I love those two. But anyway, Samantha is phenomenal at ring announcing. Great. Okay, whatever. She comes out and she basically says, like, okay, like, it's time now for Lacey Evans to come out. But the key words that she basically said during this was, she said that Lacey asked the crowd to give her a proper reaction, to show her the proper respect and to applaud for her. So the thing here is that Lacey Evans asked that the crowd respect her and that the crowd essentially cheer for her. Okay, that one thing. So when she comes out and, she's getting cheered, she gets cheered, she acts like a baby face, she does the arm thing, she does the flex. But that one line where they had Samantha say that the crowd had to show her this respect, that the crowd had to cheer for her, that was heelish. That was super, super heelish. And so it makes me wonder, what is going on? Is this going to be a swerve? Are we not going to be seeing Lacey Evans as a baby face? Because you don't tell the crowd in that manner to cheer unless you are introducing a heel or anything. So that was super weird. And that got me wondering that maybe the plan or the direction that they're heading in with Lacey Evans is not really the plan that we thought after all. So I do not know. Guys. I legitimately do not know. We also have the Kyle Pitty says the crowd did not react to that line as well either. We got people saying that they agree. Pow Driver Finisher says no one was cheering. I mean, there were a couple of people cheering, guys. Like, there was definitely a couple people cheering. Mike New York predicts that it's a swerve. And then let's go ahead and see what else we got. Dale Arazi says, God bless this woman that she actually watched the show to give us a recap. I did. All right. Full disclosure, guys. I'm going to be completely and brutally honest. When I saw that Rampage was on at 2:30, I was like, damn, that means the show's going to end at 3:30, which means if I go live, I will be done with my stream by 4:30, which means that by 5 o'clock, I don't have anything else to do. But then I was like, damn, I gotta watch SmackDown. And so I debated and I was like, should I just review Rampage? I'm still doing a post show, but then I'm a professional, everybody. I'm a professional and my job is to review SmackDown and Rampage, okay? Unless I have a legitimate excuse, I need to be here covering both shows. So yes, I could have had Friday evening off, but no, I did stay and watch 2 hours of SmackDown. Anyway, so in terms of, let's get some more comments in Lacey Evans. This one is from Francisco Marcus, who says it'll be weird now if she's a babyface instead of a heel now that you mention it. Right? It's weird. It was definitely weird. And I have a feeling it's going to be a swerve, which is going to be like kind of crazy because again, how do you boo somebody like Lacey Evans, somebody that fought for this country and they've been, heavily pushing it? This is not like the Southern Belle stuff that she was doing. It was so easy to boo the Southern Belle, that was easy to boo. But now that we have 5 chapters of this and everything that she's been through, how can we boo that? Well, we might have to. So that's definitely going to be very, 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 very interesting. We'll see what happens. Alrighty, after this, we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. This was not a bad match whatsoever. Sami Zayn won via countout. And then lastly, for our last segment of SmackDown, we saw the Bloodline and RK Bro, Drew McIntyre, essentially go face to face. And what you had here was an opening segment where you had Matt Riddle, Randy Orton, and Drew, and they're basically talking about what the other person acknowledges. And Matt Riddle goes on and on about Randy Orton's legs and how he has the most muscular legs in WWE. And then he kind of feels bad for Drew McIntyre. And then he starts saying, well, your legs are good too, but yours are like thicker versus Randy Orton's are like more muscular. And for those who did not watch SmackDown and are thinking, what the hell is this girl talking about? I didn't write this, all right? This was legitimately said on the show. It's Matt Riddle. I swear to God, this is what was said. This was the contents of this segment. I do not lie to the people. So that's what we got here. Then we got this confrontation with them, and it pretty much ended with them like staring off at each other. That was the end. That was it, guys. Let's see how much time did I do. Ooh, less than 20 minutes, I was able to review SmackDown, and that included a bunch of other side conversation. I did it. I'm a hero. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into this AEW Rampage show, but really quickly, I need to upload this bracket into the system. Shock the system here with this bracket because I need to pull this up for later on. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and jump into AEW Rampage. We got a couple of items to talk about here today, and I'll be real with everybody. I'll be completely real with all of you. I legitimately thought, okay, this is going to be a show that is at an early start time. I thought, obviously we don't know the ratings or anything like that, but I thought not a lot of people are going to watch it. Like, who the hell's going to watch? Like, at least people here in the West Coast, like, who the hell's going to watch this show at 2:30? Really? Like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, not everybody here is, reviewing the show on a podcast. So who really is watching at 2:30? And I didn't know what it would be like for other people, in other parts of the world and all of that. So I legitimately thought this show is probably going to be not so great. I didn't really have any expectations for Rampage whatsoever. Okay. I had very, very low expectations for Rampage. Now, with that being said, I really enjoyed today's episode of Rampage. We got a lot of storyline stuff. We got some good wrestling matches, some good, just like, I don't know how to explain it. We just got a content-filled, a meaningful episode of Rampage. Somebody on Twitter tweeted me, said that this was a good 1 hour sprint. And I'm going to steal that person's tweet and say that that's what it was. It was a good 1 hour sprint where we actually kind of have a lot to discuss. All right. So let's get into this. Let's talk about Rampage and what actually went down. So we kicked things off with this opening match, which was Toni Storm teaming up with Ruby Soho and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Now, calm down, everybody. Calm down. Calm down. But we got Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter kicking off this match. And we'll talk about the bracket in just a second, but we are going to be seeing them wrestle one-on-one with each other. And here's the thing. The second that they started wrestling together, I thought, like seconds into them in the ring, they started hitting each other in a more aggressive manner. They just came at each other with attitude, with presence. And so within just a couple of seconds, I was like, dude, we really got to get Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter one-on-one. And clearly, Tony Khan read my mind and probably a bunch of other people's minds and booked it for the tournament. So I'm very, very happy about that. And based on this match and based on the, little preview that we got, it's going to be really good. It's going to be a banger, that's for sure. But literally like right off the bat, shoulder tackle from Jamie to Toni. And again, there was this aggression between them. Then we got to see Britt Baker go in there with Ruby Soho. And you know that they have this history with one another. And so we get these like really nice kicks from a couple of strikes from Ruby Soho to Britt Baker. That was pretty all great stuff there. And during this moment, like midpoint in this match, I started thinking about like all the untapped possibilities, all the untapped potential, and how legitimately they haven't even scratched the surface with what they could do with these women. Like literally, I'm not even going to mention all the other women right now. I'm literally just talking about these 4 women. These 4 right here. Like we've seen Britt and Ruby go at it. They can always circle back to that. We still at some point need to get Britt and Jamie Hayter. That's going to be its whole thing. Right now, for the tournament, we're going to get Toni and Jamie. You know, it's like there's so many different variations of what they can do. And that's just speaking for women right now. There's obviously an entire roster. But when I was watching this match, I was like, man, there's a possibility there, and I really hope that we get to see that because based on literally just this match alone, it really kind of made me excited about the future of the AEW women's division, and that's been such a huge topic as of late. And you know, there's been shots fired and all of this stuff going on, and I do think like when Becky Lynch basically straight out said that she doesn't think that the women in AEW are talented, I thought, oh man, I feel if I was a women's wrestler on AEW, I would make sure to come out after that. I would come out there 100 times more aggressive, more passionate. Honestly, it would light a fire underneath my butt if somebody from another promotion said that about the division that I'm wrestling in. And so when I was watching this match, I kind of feel like they went out there and they hit their mark a little extra harder, literally just to prove people wrong and to prove people who don't think that they're good enough wrong. And I've kind of felt that during this match. There was even like this, Toni Storm's hip attack that she hit on Britt Baker. Even just that, a simple hip attack. It was like bang. It was really good. Sliding lariat from Jamie Hayter to Toni Storm was really good too. Toni ended up getting the win for her team. This match was an aggressive match. It was a fun match, and I don't think I could put over enough, especially for what it was. I thought it was really good. Chris Rain sends in a super chat saying, I really enjoyed this tag match. So many matchups that were teased. Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to get at. There's so many potential matchups there and so many little teases that we got. So I can't wait for that match with Toni and Jamie. Thank you so much to Chris Rains for sending in that super chat here. And let's get a couple more comments. This one is from Dale, who says, Toni Storm is awesome already, at least in NXT UK. She was so awesome. She was awesome in NXT UK. So, that's the truth there. Thank you so much to Yodon, the nice comment here. And let's go ahead and get into the next one here. This next portion, we got a phone call from Eddie Kingston to Chris Jericho. As you all recall, on Dynamite 2 weeks ago, we saw the Jericho Appreciation Society essentially throw a fireball into the face of Eddie Kingston. Now, somebody threw a fireball into my face, or your face, or anybody's face, all hell would break loose. So I'm expecting all hell to break loose after this. Now, he's out. You know, he's recovering from his face burns. The man got a fireball to the face, okay? And this has gone into, they've already been they've already gotten pretty personal, okay? Jericho and Kingston. They've already been pretty personal. But now, they're taking things to another level where they're incorporating family members. So during this, Eddie Kingston starts basically saying how he's been in wrestling for a long time. You know, they've seen it, been there, done it all, and mentions that his wife was essentially like distraught. She was crying. She was devastated because of the fireball and the attack that the Jericho Appreciation Society did to Eddie Kingston. So I'm like, ooh, he's bringing up his wife now. Where is this going? He then basically tells Jericho that he is not going to stop, that he is now, his goal is essentially to make Chris Jericho feel as much fear and as much pain as he caused Eddie Kingston's wife during that. So I love the personal aspect of this. Because it's real. Like, if you think about it, if you think about it, if fireball gets thrown to my face, my fiance is going to be distraught. vice versa, they're going to be distraught. So why not incorporate that into the story? It feels more realistic when you say like, shit, dude, like my freaking wife is, legitimately in storyline, pissed off and this happened and you put this fear in her. Why not incorporate, why not add this element to the storyline? So I like how personal it's getting. And I feel that, part of the reason why Eddie Kingston and the CM Punk storyline worked so well is because there was a lot of you can say there was a lot of truth to that story, and a lot of the stuff that they touched on, a lot of the conversational aspects of it were legitimate. And so when you have this, this thing where you think okay, this is the possible, that was different. Eddie Kingston, CM Punk was different, but now they're doing something like this and making it a little bit more serious with Jericho and Eddie Kingston. So I like this. I like how personal it's getting, and it was a simple phone call that took a minute on the show, and it added a lot to their feud. I almost feel like this added more than their whole face-to-face confrontation that they did prior to the Fireball attack on Dynamite. I feel like this simple phone call just added so much more. We got a super chat from Mike Parker. Thank you so much, Mike Parker, for sending this in. He says, the tag opener on Dynamite was my favorite thing on both shows this week. Great to see them building up Storm and Hayter. Dude, Storm and Hayter, honestly, they need to continue building upon both of those girls, because both of those girls will be in marquee matchups for the women. You built up Toni Storm, get her in there with Thunder Rosa at some point, Jamie Hayter with Thunder Rosa, or even with Jade Cargill, whoever whatever champion they want to get them in with. They would make really, really hot challengers. And, obviously Toni Storm's a little closer, I would say. If you were going to say who would become champion first, Toni Storm or Jamie Hayter, I'd probably say Toni Storm, but that's not to say Jamie Hayter so far from that. But I still think that they have something that the people are ready and willing to get behind to see them keep climbing up to that next level on the AEW women's division. And that spot is there to be grabbed, You have Thunder Rosa hustling. You still got Britt Baker out there hustling. Jade Cargill's building herself up into a massive star. I mean, they're climbing up those ranks. Thank you so much to Mike Parker for the generous super chat. We have another super chat here from Cameron Mumford, who says, blood and guts bucket. Yeah, that would be freaking phenomenal, right? I think I still think they're gonna do Jericho Appreciation Society and Kingston and Santana and Ortiz and Kingston. That seems likely. I don't know if you're talking about the women here for blood and guts, but I'm assuming I don't know if you're talking about the men or the women, but either way, thank you. Either way, they can figure it out and make it work. Thank you so much to Cameron Mumford. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here, guys, and let's get into. So we're going to talk more about the tournament itself, more about the women afterwards, because we still need to talk about the Riho match. So let's go ahead and get into. Ring the alarms, everybody. Ring the damn alarms, because this was my favorite thing in wrestling this week. Maybe even I have short-term memory, so I'm going to say maybe the last 2 weeks. I freaking love this so much. This was legitimately my favorite thing on today's show. Let's talk about this, because I do not recall the last time I legitimately went, oh, I kid you not. Hook versus JD Drake. First of all, that's not the part I'm talking about. I'm talking about what happened afterwards, but let's get into this. Hook versus JD Drake. Now, this match was exactly what it needed to be, okay? JD Drake, he's a big dude. He's a big dude. He's a big fella. And Hook literally made him look like the guy was 10 pounds, okay? Hook went in there. There was this moment where JD Drake tried to chop him, and the chop is midway, and Hook just literally headbutts the chop. I'm like, what? Okay, just headbutt the chop? Sure. Why the hell not? That was cool. After this, we see Hook suplex JD Drake. You heard that, right? You saw Hook suplex JD Drake, a man of his size. And I will tell you, this got a huge pop from the crowd because it made Hook look like a badass, all right? Like Hook's you look at him, he's a young boy, he's got a young face. He's obviously not a man just yet, but he's getting there. He's a young fella. And so when you see him kind of when you see him have spots like this during a match, it makes him look more, I don't know, what's the word? More, not manlier, but what's that word when men are just seen as more, God, I can't come up with the damn word. They just see them as just more manlier. I can't think of it right now. I like the wisdom. Like he looked older. Like in that one spot, it made him just look more like, dude, this guy's coming out. He's not just this like young kid, he's like a man. People are saying more alpha, more macho, all of that good stuff, honestly. So this was a good spot. All it takes is literally one thing to have the crowd see you differently. And this got a massive reaction. So I really like that. After this, he locks in the red rum and JD Drake taps out really fast, really simple, straight to the point, and it got a massive reaction. So you know what? I really liked that this literally made Hook look really great, especially with a guy of JD Drake's size. But now... let's get into this part, because this part legitimately, it pulled all my heartstrings. This was a Nicholas Sparks novel. Okay, I haven't seen anything this good on Netflix in these freaking rom-coms in a long time. Danhausen comes out and basically asks Hook to be in his corner for next week, right? I think he said it for next week or something. Whatever. He wants him to be in his corner. And he starts he's talking to him. He even points on his chest, like he puts his finger on his chest. And the last time he did that, it didn't end well for Danhausen. Hook does not like when Danhausen or anybody is touching his chest like that, right? Okay, so he does it. And even commentary is like, oh, that wasn't a smart idea. And Hook shoves Dan. There's this moment. So hold on. Before he shoves him, there's this moment where they're both standing there and Hook and Danhausen, they're having this tension, and the crowd is legitimately just going nuts chanting Hookhausen. And they're like, Hookhausen, 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 right? And even Danhausen is like, yeah, like I came up with that, this and that, right? And you're thinking for a moment that this is it, that they're going to hug and, be best friends and all of this, right? Well, that did not happen. Instead, Hook ruined this beautiful moment and broke all of our hearts when he pushes Danhausen straight to the ground. And Danhausen has this this very, very shocked face, and he's shocked, right? And that was sad, right? It was sad. Damn, how dare you? We thought we were finally going to get Hookhausen. We thought this was going to be a thing. But then it gets worse. It just gets so sad. Because as Danhausen is in the ground, he's laying there shocked. He pulls out this gift that he had for Hook, a bag of chips tied with a bow. He put a bow on the bag of freaking chips and he was gifting it to Hook. And even though Hook shoved him to the ground, he still gave him the gift. And I swear to God, I was like, I don't remember the last time I reacted like that to something. Legitimately, don't remember the last time I had this reaction. And whoever basically planned this out spot for spot, whoever had the idea of handing the chips with the bow, please give that person a raise. I don't know if it was Danhausen, I don't know if it was Hook, I don't know if it was somebody else, I don't know who it was, but seriously, brilliant shit with that. I really loved it. And afterwards, Hook we finally see a little bit of the human side of Hook. He's sort of not been showing many of his emotions. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't really show any emotion. And for the first time, we saw some emotion from Hook where he picked up the chips and everybody clapped because they thought, this was it again. And then he drops the chips again. So this was really good. I think that they did a good job at laying this all out. This is, again, my favorite thing in wrestling the last 2 weeks. For sure. For sure this week. Thoughts on this, guys? How did you feel about it? We got a super chat from Chris Reigns who says, I need Hookhausen in my life. What does everybody want? What does everybody need? Hookhausen. Thank you so much to Chris Rain for sending in this super chat. I appreciate it. BTW, Toni Nese did challenge Hook to a match. BTW, I forgot to mention that. I almost completely forgot to mention that. Doppelganger 399 says it was a tragic comedy. K-Town Shutdown says that was more heartbreaking than the Festival of Friendship. Sean Williams says the crowd really wanted Hook to keep the chips. Let's see. Let's get some more comments here. This one is from, we got another one from Sean who says Danhausen almost looked brokenhearted. They did a good job of that. Christopher says the segment between Hook and Danhausen was awesome. Power Driver says the term I was looking for is hook. So yeah, honestly, this was really good. I liked all of this. Kyle Put says they are really pumping Hook up. I don't know if Danhausen is the best person to start his run with, but they are over with base. You know what it is? It's not necessarily whether or not he's the right person. It's more so of like, this is a story, I think, of like what's to become an eventual friendship, you know? Like it's going to eventually be a friendship and it's just going to be like part of Hook's, part of Hook's circle, part of who Hook is, right? So I like this. I think it's getting over and there's something endearing about it, honestly. That's what it is. It's endearing and it's touching people's hearts. So I like this. All right, and now let's go ahead and move on from this. Let's get into a match that I think really did a phenomenal job, and this was Riho versus Yuka Sakazaki. This was part of the Owen Hart Cup qualifier, and this was good for a very simple reason. They went out there and they utilized legitimately every second that they had to get the people invested. They did a great job at getting the people interested in this match. They won the crowd over. They were aggressive with one another. They had some good spots. One of the best ones was legitimately when they both went to the top rope and then they're like both at the top rope on the top. And you're wondering like, for a second, I'm like, what are they setting up here? And then it ended up being like Riho like driving her body and Yuka's body all the way down, face planting her to the mat. It was like a really good moment. And I think that's when people were like, oh shit, I'm interested. Like, yes. And then from here on out, they just kind of continued to deliver. Riho eventually got the win. So qualifying for her. So this was good. Now let's go ahead and get into the women's bracket because we officially have the women's bracket. So we got some things to talk about here. We got a couple of topics to get into. So first and foremost, on the left side of the bracket, we have Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter. That's the match that right now, based on these quarterfinals, I'm most interested in. It's going to be really good, especially based on what we saw today. We have Dr. Britt Baker versus the Joker. Now that's the question here is, who the hell is going to be the Joker? We have a couple of people thinking that it's going to be the former Tegan Nox. And then there's other people thinking that it's going to be Athena. Now, those two possibilities seem very, very, they seem very possible. I don't know who it will be, but that's the thing. Like we got a men's Joker, we got a women's Joker. I think the Joker for both the men's and the women's has to kind of win. Like you can't go in there and be like, oh, I'm here and then lose. Like that would kind of suck. So it's interesting to me because I'm like, I can't imagine Britt getting eliminated so fast, but it kind of seems like that may happen. Who knows? Then on the right side of the bracket, we have Riho and Ruby Soho kicking things off. And Riho and Ruby Soho, I think they'll have a pretty decent match. I don't recall if we've seen them wrestle before. If they did, I probably just forgot. In terms of who would advance for that, I feel like it has to be Ruby Soho. I definitely see Ruby Soho advancing, and then Red Velvet and Hikaru Shida. I see Shida advancing, so I see Ruby Soho and Shida. With either one of them making it to the finals. For the left side of the bracket, I see Toni Storm going up against a Joker. And then I don't know, because depending on who the Joker is, I don't know who would make it to the finals. But based on the right side of the bracket, I have a feeling it's going to be Shida in the finals. So there you go, guys. That is the Owen Hart Cup for the women there. And let's go ahead and get some thoughts here and see what people are saying and what they are expecting here. Let's see. Let's get some thoughts here. We got more people thinking that it's going to be Ember Moon, which is Athena. Again, I do not know. And more people expecting Britt to lose to the Joker. Somebody points out Mia Yim. Keith Lee is there, so that could be another option there. And the Mad Dog stuff says Maki Ito is going to be an American Excursion soon, so it could be her. I don't know when she's going on American Excursion, so I can't really answer that one. But we got Sean Williams saying Shida and Jamie Hayter would be great finale, but unfortunately, they're probably going to do Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. I could see that, and I do think that it would be good, though. I think that they would have a bomb-ass match. And this is Major Blood, who's expecting the Joker to win. And that's the thing, like, I noticed that whenever we do, like, these, any sort of tournaments or stuff like this, like, it's usually the new person that comes in that gets the big win. You know, like Jada Cargill, she's the one who got the TBS championship. Ruby Soho, she got a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of great moments coming into to AEW. So I think whoever's coming in that's like new would probably win this. But again, I just don't know, because you also have a lot of other new people there, like Toni Storm, who can also win this. If you want to make a star out of somebody in this tournament, it could even be Jamie Hayter. And there's a lot of different directions that they can go in with all of this. We got a super chat from Chris Rains. Thank you so much to Chris. It says Larae helped train Britt. That could be an interesting twist. That's another person too. Today, you know, it was reported that Candace Larae is officially she's been moved to the alumni section of the WWE website. Her contract is up. That's it. She's a free agent. So she can definitely be somebody that pops up as well, possibly. But I just don't think so, only because I feel like it might be too soon. I'm not saying too soon, but I'm assuming she might want to spend some time with her baby. I don't know. That feels to me like that's something that should probably be, more occupied with, right? I don't know. But thank you so much to Chris Rains for also sending in this very kind and generous super chat. And somebody mentions Dakota Kai. I don't know if Dakota Kai has a non-compete clause. I don't know. But if it was Dakota Kai, I would mark out so much. I think, like, out of a lot of people who could be the surprise, I would mark out if it was Dakota Kai. But I think it would be too early for that. Plus, at the same time, it's like, I'm pretty sure they've had the person who is going to win this tournament planned out way in advance. So I have a feeling like whoever is going to win was the plan for, a good amount of time now. So that's why I don't think it would be somebody like a Dakota Kai, for example. All right. So now let's go ahead and continue on from here. So after this, so we're done talking about the women here for now. I think that's about it, actually. But let's go ahead and get into this next segment, because this one was a little bit interesting, okay? This one's a little bit interesting, and it kind of spilled over on social media. So this was Ethan Page, Dan Lambert, and Scorpio Sky. As you guys know, they've been feuding with Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara, who were not there. And, they're talking about the mixed tag team match. Ethan Page is basically saying that it's off, that it's not going to happen. He starts saying how, Sammy and Ty, they make him sick just thinking of the fact that, his daughter would tune into the show and see them out there, sucking face. And then Frankie Kazarian comes out and he basically, wants that match against Scorpio Sky, his former partner. And Scorpio Sky basically says that he's going to give him this opportunity. But then there's a line in there, and I'm not saying this verbatim, but this was essentially what was said, where he said that he's going to that the title is no longer going to be passed around the same way that Ty Conti is backstage. Now, that is a very tacky line. So I hope that was a line that was A-okayed by Ty Conti herself. Obviously on social media, she's going to react and be like, no, like, screw you. There were some tweets out there that I saw, exchanges from Ty Conti, well, rather Scorpio Sky's girlfriend, in which how she responded to Ty Conti. And that was a little bit interesting. There was some language that was used that kind of got me wondering, like, I don't know if anybody's feelings legitimately got hurt or how. This is a really interesting. This is this is not interesting, but this is becoming a very, very personal storyline. There was the mention of cheating and whose DMs and all of this. I will let you guys go discover that all for yourselves on social media, but it's up there. So with that being said, that was definitely a huge conversation coming out of this promo here on Twitter. And then on top of this, that's pretty much it here. That was pretty much the big gist of this. Obviously, we are going to get Scorpio Sky versus Frankie Kazarian, so that is happening. And then again, that's High Conti line. I think Adam's microphone sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Adam. Says, awesome Joshi match, a no cheek commentary, a great night for the division. Yes, none of this like weird, I don't know. At least I didn't hear anything that was like weird. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but they had a great match though, honestly, and they deserve some kudos for that. They had a great time. A great match out there. Thank you so much to Adam's microphone for sending in this super chat here. Alrighty here. Let's see what we got. Doppelganger 399 says a very attitude era line. Did not like it. I don't know, guys. I just don't know. I just hope that if they are going to go this direction, I don't care, right? Like some people are going to care a little bit more than others. I just hope it's not one of those things where anybody legitimately gets their feelings hurt. And I just hope that everything's cool with everybody. Peace. If I were to do something like this, I wouldn't care what somebody said, but that would be like, something that you would probably like approve ahead of time if it was something that touched on real life situations. So I don't know, guys. But it was a conversation. All right, now moving on from here, we did get the main event. This was Jay Lethal who defeated Take Shida, and I hope I didn't mess that up the name again. I'm very sorry. This was a very, very, very fun main event. A lot of really good spots here. One of my favorite portions here was this moment where we saw Jay Lethal go for the lethal injection, but instead Take Shida essentially countered all of that, hit him with a lariat, then hit him with a flying knee, and then he ends up going for the cover, but Sanjay Dutt essentially distracts the referee, and so even though he got like a visual pin, the referee wasn't paying attention to actually do the 1, 2, 3. So I did like, that moment during this match, but in the end, we obviously end up seeing Jay Lethal get the win with the lethal injection for the pinfall. So good main event, fun, good amount of time, all good stuff. Dynamite on Wednesday. Let's talk about some of the matches that are announced. We're going to be getting Jungle Boy versus Ricky Starks, and we did actually have a moment during the show today where we saw Jungle Boy and Ricky Starks brawl in the stage area, with Jungle Boy coming out on top and essentially raising up the FTW championship. So that should be a fun match. I'm looking forward to that. CM Punk versus John Silver. Then we're also going to be having Jericho Appreciation Society victory speech. Then Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter in the first round of the Owen Hart Cup. That one's going to be the match I'm most looking forward to. Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin, another fun match in the Owen Hart Cup. First round match, of course. And then Dax Harwood versus Adam Cole, also in a first round of the Owen Hart Cup. So a lot of there's going to be some good wrestling on Dynamite this coming Wednesday. They already announced 2 matches for next Friday's Rampage, and that is going to be Scorpio Sky versus Frankie Kazarian for the title. And then we're also going to be having Riho versus Ruby Soho in the first round of the Owen Hart Cup. So we got a lot of matches to look forward to. We are about 3 weeks away from AEW Double or Nothing, which is shaping up to be pretty good so far, especially with CM Punk and Hangman Page. Lastly, let's get the super chat in here from Chris Reigns, who says, Did you see that Britt and Adam are going to be on Bar Rescue this Sunday? Actually did. I saw Britt Baker tweet about it. Now, I'm going to look like a fool, but I've never seen Bar Rescue, so I didn't really feel like making a big deal out of it. I've heard of it, so I'm assuming it's a big show. I've never seen it myself, but just because I haven't seen it does not mean that it's a big deal. So I did see the tweet, actually, but I've never actually seen the show, so I didn't get like all excited because I've never seen the show. But thank you so much to Chris Raines for also sending in another very kind and generous super chat. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the show here today. As always, I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Have a good time. I will see you guys on Sunday over on my YouTube channel for the WWE WrestleMania Backlash watch along. And then that'll be pretty much it for me. But until next time, I'll see you guys back here on Tuesday for NXT 2.0, Wednesday AEW Dynamite, and then Friday SmackDown and Rampage. Bye, everyone.